Hello, dear viewer and listener. It's us. We're back. Like Backstreet Boys, but there's only three of us. And one of those magnificent three is Karl. Howdy doody, Karl.
Which Backstreet Boy would I be? I mean, obviously, for obvious reasons, there was no, good-looking ones there. So, which one would I be?
You mean the tallest one?
Oh, that's the one. Yeah, I don't know what his name was, but I'm going to say
Ronan Keating.
Yeah, that's the one. Although I don't know if he was a Backstreet Boy, but we move anyway.
I thought I meant the American ones. I was thinking of NSYNC, not Backstreet Boys. They're Irish.
No, they were American. Do you mean Boyzone?
That's him.
Yeah, that's the one.
Not Karl. We don't have time to go through your record collection. Now, just stop your nonsense. How are you?
I am good. I'm well. I'm live. My family's good. Arsenal. I've had 2 wins on a bounce. What more could I have asked for?
New pillows.
Funny you say that, Danny. Funny you say that.
Your Alexa device behind you is flashing. That's been flashing for me for 2 days, and then I just told it to delete all notifications. I don't know what it wanted. I never found out.
Alexa, delete all notifications.
And then it will stop flashing.
Delete all your notifications. Right?
Oh,
yes.
There you go, people. That's how you use Alexa. The other of my wonderful guests tonight is the man who is doing his very best to become a pirate. He's down to one leg, and the other one's going to be wooden. It's Nick in Norwich. Howdy doody, Nick.
All right, Danny, how you doing, mate?
I am probably doing better than you. Look, I got my legs are 2 perfectly specimens of legs. I don't even use them. You're down to 1 good leg. Do you want to tell the wonderful listeners about you being nonced up by Ellis when he was wearing what was he wearing? I don't know. What do they wear in hospital?
I don't know, a latex suit I think he was wearing.
That's enough to get up our listenership going. What happened to you?
I don't know. I got cellulitis in my leg, which is like posh terms for just like a infection in a cut or a bite or something, and that decided to spread to all my blood and make me very poorly and very sick.
Did you die?
No, not this time. Not this time. I did last year, but not this time. I stayed alive for 95%.
Staying alive. Another one of Karl's favourite albums. Right, people in the chat box. We have got Michael in Sweden. Hello. We have got Karl, who's no relation to Gary Lineker. I found that out earlier. We have got yeah, boy, you're not. YN0T. This is Yo. Hello. Julian Salmon, who whenever I see the name, I want to say Salmon, and that's not right. Alonso in the US of A, in Texas. He has got them long horns. I remember that from many years ago. Marquis Hodges, hello. Alonso says hello to you. Jimmy H29. Why is that name familiar? I have no idea. And here we go. That's his why. Your boy says Danny's dementia. You're probably right because I am incredibly old. And J Rob, there you go. Hello, people. Hope all is good. We are. Well, we're mostly good. 2/3 of us are good. Here we go. Jimmy H with an early question. He says, I know it's an early question, but I haven't proofread this. Please make it make sense. With such a poor goal difference, do you blame that more on the defence or more on the attacking team? We should come back to that later. Someone remind me because I will forget. J. Ross put that. Alonso. Archie's there. Afternoon, Archie. And Paul Neal, he was recently in the Chris moonlighting. Karl, he's bloody moonlighting again with Sophie from the Highbury squad. What are we going to do?
Charge.
Guilty. So he was in there. I'm sure he was in there with me, or it was either that one, or it was the. No, it wasn't. It was Harry. Harry was doing a match preview with the judge. That's where I saw Neil today. Grant is there. Hi, Grant. And here we go. Alonso, a little update on he's not been well. Yeah, mate. I'm just waiting for a test to go back to work, so I'm hoping it's negative. That's the story of John's life, and sadly, it doesn't always turn out well as well as John hoped. Avon Teddington, he's there. Hello. Sai is there. I think you've tweeted me a couple of times today, Sai, with answers to stuff for the questions. Christian Anderson. What? I think I know a Christian Anderson. Are you the man with the cows in Norway? That's all I need to know. And there's more people down the bottom here. It's just the same one. Oh, here we go. Paul says Harry's pod. That was it. And Jimmy has said, Danny, because I am watching most shows and post really stupid questions. I do the best questions. Right, I think that's all the 5 minutes of your lives, people, I've wasted. Next time I should start the show and I won't introduce anybody. Karl, did you do any of the live shows for Southampton or Sheffield United?
Negative.
Did you, Nick?
No, I was in hospital.
All right, don't go on about it. Jesus, bloody hell. It's not the Nick has got one leg show. If they cut it off, are you going to get a wooden one?
No, I'd get a titanium one.
That's the future, children. Right, Karl, Southampton and Sheffield United games. If people want to hear what ABW thought about it, the two shows are up and they were very good. But did you expect to go away to Southampton? And I think from memory, we've beaten them once in the Premier League at their ground in the last 8 games. So how did you feel about the result for the Southampton game? Apart from obviously amazing.
Clearly, Arsenal didn't have the best start to the league campaign. We lost to Man City, and that was a very bad result. And then we lost to Brighton, which was 100%. It was unexpected. You'd think that we was going to beat Brighton, but unfortunately, we never got to. For me, at Southampton, their home record was atrocious. I think they only won once at home, I want to say, this season. So, and even with no fans, you'd think that Arsenal would, like to capitalize upon that. And looking at the team, I think after the Brighton game, he needed to kind of ring a few changes, and he obviously did that. He brought in, I think Tierney started this game, and Xhaka came back. Ceballos, I think, started as well. I think he started the Brighton game, to the best of my knowledge. I can't remember. Sorry, the Brighton game. But it was a game that obviously you're always wary. The biggest memory I have of playing Brighton was when we lost 4-0 to them on Boxing Day. I think maybe a couple of years ago. That game was really, really bad. And ever then, you just always think that Southampton could do something against us, because there's always, Shane Long. Shane Long wouldn't score a goal for 16 months, but you can guarantee he'd pop up against Arsenal and score a goal. It's the way of the world. But this time, thankfully, he didn't. A very good goal by Nketiah by closing down the goalkeeper, which hardly ever gets done. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, I want to say Aubameyang did that once against Watford. I want to say.
Put your hand up to your camera and do that, because it's out of focus. Put it a bit closer, right up to the thing, and then it'll stop it there. Take it away. It's not focusing. Bloody thing.
But yeah, I'll carry on while it focuses. He did it against Watford, I believe. And, it's lovely by Nketiah to close it down. And obviously, the second goal by Willock at the end, lovely. For as I can see, it was a very good game. And, the fact that we kept a clean sheet, especially with our backup goalkeeper as well, it was a good game that I'm happy about. And, there's not much you can really say about it. The game was a kind of a cut and shut game. It was a game that you'd think that we would win, a game that we did win, a game that we kept a clean sheet in. Lovely, brilliant.
Oh, there you go. I think Karl's turning his camera off and then on again. I don't know, sometimes it does that, and I don't know why. It's just been a knob, Karl. I don't know how to fix that, because yours is a built-in one, isn't it?
No, I've got the Logitech, the one you told me to buy.
Oh, have you?
There we go.
There, that was it. Doesn't matter.
Did you pull the plastic off it? Did you pull the plastic off it?
It's gone already.
Oh, cheeky. I was going to say something then. Yeah, wasn't it nice to see a couple of Hale products getting our 2 goals? 2 young men. Absolutely brilliant.
It was. Do you know what I mean? It's lovely that the academy can produce players. I don't think someone asked a question on Twitter, and I had to scratch my head because I couldn't think of one, and hopefully you can. When's the last time that Arsenal produced an academy striker? I genuinely cannot think of us producing an academy striker. There he goes. You know what I mean?
Who's the one who threw his shirt at the bench? That's going back somewhat early 2000s. Was it J. Simpson?
Yes. I'm not sure if he was a striker though. Yeah,
J. Emmanuel Thomas. Like, was he a striker?
No, I think he was more of a winger.
So I can't think of. And do you know what? This is going to sound so stupid, and Danny, you might remember this.
Ali Adier?
Didn't we buy him though?
Yeah, from Clairefontaine.
The only person I can think of, Danny, you might think, is Andy Cole. He came from Arsenal, didn't he? Obviously, he only played like one game, I think, for Arsenal, and then obviously he left under a cloud. But I genuinely think that's the last player, or whether we produce, well, I would class him as we produced him, but that came through our academy and done something.
Yeah, but then at what point do you go, we created him? Because we bought him from Notts County at the age of 16, or I don't know if you buy at that age because he's so young. But do you mean like somebody? I suppose what the cut-off point is, if you've got someone who's been at the club before they were an adult, then that's going to be one of the ones, isn't it?
It's because it was a question I saw on Twitter, and I was like, wow, like Arsenal really haven't produced a striker that's gone on to score loads and goals. I mean, you can count people like Karl Vela, but again, we bought him. Yeah. Like you said, Ali Adair. But yeah, Arsenal don't really produce strikers, do we? And it's good to see that Nketiah as I know we got him from Chelsea, but I would still say he's kind of an academy product that's come through, and he's in the first team and doing wonders.
Yeah, I think we for the future reference that we'll have the cut-off point. If you joined before your 18th birthday, then we produced you. Well, their parents produced them, but you know what I mean. Nick, what was your thoughts of the Southampton game? Did you have much hope for the game? Because I thought we were just going to go there and lose like we usually do.
Yeah, I think I put in the WhatsApp group, I said, well, obviously Shane Long's going to score again, and they're going to do their usual rotational fouling as they normally do. And I mean, I was surprised because was that the one we got the penalty in?
No, that was the Sheffield game.
See, I'm getting both games mixed up because I watched them both. But
you were heavily sedated?
A little bit. It was nice.
Did Ellis try and put anything up your bum? That's all we really need to know.
I'm not sure, but I've got his watch if he wants it.
So. Oh, very nice.
I'll teach him to shake my hand.
Teach you not to let go. So go on, less of this smutty nonsense. So your thoughts on the game? You like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite of a scrappy game. I'd say a lot of rotational fouling by Southampton, and I'm trying to think. What was it? Was it 1-0? I forgot the scores already.
Eddie and Nketiah scored in the 20th minute, and then half time they brought on two subs. Oh yeah, look at them. They brought on Walker Peters at right back and Shane Long up front because Aubameyang was rubbish, and Jan Valery, I couldn't say his name. I just kept thinking of Valery by that scrawny bird who's no longer with us. See, that's
Amy Winehouse.
Hey, there you go. And then Saka got booked after half time, and then we brought on substitution. We brought on Willock, Kolasinac, Lacazette, and Maitland-Niles in the space of 20 minutes. And then their Blake got sent off after 85 minutes, and then Willock with a lovely goal on the 87th minute. And then the 91st minute, they brought on two more substitutes. But I know there was quite a bit of time when I think somebody was down for a while. But that was Willock's goal was really good. I think he started off. He might have started off the move from midfield, and it went out wide, and then it came back into him, and then slotted it home. Was that did Pepe cross it to him to put it in? Oh no, that I'm thinking of the Danny Ceballos goal against Sheffield United.
Yeah, that's the Lacazette free kick, wasn't it? Where the guy got sent off.
I think the free kick did nothing.
I thought he scored from the free kick.
No.
Lacazette score?
No, he had the shot, and then He hit the rebound straight at the keeper, and that went out to Willock. Is that the goal?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes.
That was good because I liked it how quickly he reacted when it seems everyone else.
Had at the bloody goal.
What?
That's your third attempt at guessing what the goal was. You can't get away with that.
Well, I did watch Arteta's press conference just before we started, and I thought maybe I should have double checked what the scores were.
Just looking through some of the answers because I'm writing down people's names for the shows as well, and someone put Harry Kane was the last player. Here we go. It was Archie. Harry Kane was the last one to come through our youth system and score lots of goals.
Yeah, there you go. It's true, but do we claim him? No, we don't. We definitely don't.
Disown him.
Definitely. But no, to sum up, because the Sheffield United game, we'll talk about in a minute. But
yeah,
I think the Southampton game was a game that we needed. I mean, we've come into the league, and this is our third away game. No team has played 3 away games apart from us, and it's good that we got the Man City game out of the way, and then obviously we went to Brighton, which is, even though there's no crowd there, it's still an away game. And then we went to Southampton, and then another away game. So Arsenal don't travel well. So it's good that at least 1, we've got an away win. 2, that we've got a win under our belts after the restart. And I guess it's onwards and upwards now, because we'll talk about in a minute, played our 4th away game since the restart, and then now we can go home and sort of be in our own surroundings in our own stadium minus the crowd. But it's good that 1, we've got the win, and we've broken the kind of Southampton hoodoo, because didn't we lose to them last season as well with Hassan Hutu's first game? Remember, they had Sheffield. Fucking hell, Southampton. Yeah, Southampton had lost something like 6 or 7 games on the bounce, remember? And then Hassan Hutu came in, and then wouldn't you know it, beat Arsenal in his first game. Of course he did, because it's Arsenal. But yeah, we've got a win, and that's good. It's another 3 points on the board for us to ascend into mediocrity, as we do. And and also we're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup.
Semi-finals,
my bad, yes.
I have to get one fact right during the night. That's it. It's the only one I'm actually ever going to get right. I'm glad someone else has a problem. I remember I always had the problem with Ross and Josh. I don't know why. I kept calling them each other. And even now, just for old time's sake, I'll call our Josh Ross, because there's too many S's in names. It confuses me. I've been a bit distant here, people, because I'm going through your. I have to go to the YouTube chat, and then I have to cut and paste your ideas for the name of today's podcast. So far we have got 4, only 1 per person. We've got 4 names, and at the end of the show, us 3 will pick the best name for this podcast, and we'll go from there. So the one I've just done is that one by PG Nez. Right, start with you, Nick. See, I always pause at your name, Nick, because I've known you for ages as Nicky, and now it's Nick. And then after a while, it'll be and then I'll be completely stuck. So if I call you Nicky or Nick, don't shout at me. It's your own fault. So Nick, well, your thoughts on the game that you probably might remember, the going up to Sheffield United, who have lost. I think they've lost 2 games since the restart, 3-0, 3-0, and then they might have had another one. And like Karl was just saying, that was our 4th away game in a row, which is to do Man City. Forget about that. No one goes to Man City and wins. So that and plus it's our first game back, and we had 3 injuries in the first 5 minutes or whatever it was. So forget about that. The Brighton game, we were unlucky. It was our own fault. And then to go and get this one. I mean, again, were you expecting to go away to Sheffield United in the cup and beat them?
Yeah, I thought that'd be a lot harder than it was. But let's say, I mean, 4 away games on the spin? That's a bit harsh, especially now with the whole COVID thing, because are we allowed to stay in hotels the night before? And
no, that's another thing they've done. They've said they want all teams to travel there and back on the same day. And so for the Man City game, I think we left London at 3:00.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I don't know where Sheffield is really. That's quite far from London. I wouldn't want to walk it, but what was it, 1 o'clock kickoff? I think that was a 1 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah, because I missed the first quarter of an hour because I was asleep.
Yeah, so was I. But no, but I remember the start of that game because I don't know if you guys where I had the weird crowd noise on the TV or on what I was watching. For some reason, I had the start from El Clasico where you could hear him. I was like, yeah, this doesn't sound right. But yeah, other than that, I mean, trying to think about what happened during the game. To be honest with you.
It was quite a good game. We looked quite strong for most of the game, and I was quite surprised.
I mean, it wasn't too bad. It was. I mean, obviously they had their goal disallowed, and when pardon,
they had 2 disallowed.
Yes, but the first one, literally, you had your head in your hands, didn't you? And you was kind of like, "Oh, here we go again." And literally, when they showed the replay before the commentator said it, I was like, "That's offside, isn't it?" And when you think, "Oh, maybe it's not," and then obviously when they showed the replay, it's like, "Oh yeah, that's blatantly offside." So we kind of, got a little reprieve, and I think after that we started to play a little bit well. We started to pass the ball around. Xhaka was kind of doing his thing. He was literally spraying the ball around, and the link-up play, I think, between Pepe and Maitland-Niles was very, very good on the Sheffield United game. I think it was better than Bellerin and Pepe because whereas Bellerin likes to get forward, so you kind of got to have that interchange, haven't you, of one staying forward, one staying back. And I think what works well is that Maitland-Niles protects Pepe when he goes off on a tangent and he does everything that he needs to do. So whereas, you can tell Pepe to go forward and run back, and if he does lose the ball, you've got Maitland-Niles on the right-hand side who has played right back, so he knows how to defend, protecting him, which I think works very well, which is something that maybe Arteta will do in the future, but we'll talk about that another time. We're talking about the Sheffield game. But and it was good. I think when we got our first goal, when I was talking to our Norma, and I said, I don't think that's a penalty. I think it's going to get overturned. Because at first instance, I thought that looks very, very weak. Genuinely, I thought, nah, not at all. Because what I always put it down to is if that was given against Arsenal, would I be angry? And I was thinking, yeah. Let's face it, Lacazette does go over easily, but is it a penalty? Yeah, by the letter of the law, it definitely is. But I just think it's very weak. But you know what? I don't care because we scored from that goal. And Pepe put away the penalty. So, yeah, I was happy about that one.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game because I kind of thought normally we'd go up there and we'd struggle to beat them. But then someone in the media said, well, if there'd have been in the crowd there, Arsenal wouldn't have won, which I think is an absolute nonsense. But Nicky, see Xhaka back starting in the central midfield. And like Karl was saying, Bellerin loves to get forward, much like I like the idea of a mountain bike. Just because I like the idea of it, I'm never going to be able to ride one. Bellerin getting forward is Theo-esque at times, utterly pointless. But Maitland-Niles he spent his career, up to his career, apart from when he's played at right wing back or right back for us, he has been an attacking right-sided player. And the link up between him and Pepe was brilliant because if any of their players decide to take on Pepe, then the Maitland-Niles just take over where Pepe is and come all the way in and do work from the right-hand side. We've got someone, which the last few games we've seen, if you haven't got anyone in the central midfield, which has been Guendouzi, and we all know he's been dropped for one reason or another, having Xhaka in the centre of that midfield again, he got man of the match with an Opta rating of 7.5. And I think that just shows that Arteta's system will work if you've got the right players playing in those positions. And Willock will run all day and all night. I was watching, someone did I think it was Giles did a tweet that someone's done a video of all Willock's best bits. And for me, Willock reminds me of Diaby, especially that game when Diaby played against Liverpool and he ran the entire game. Willock can do the going back, he can do the central midfield stuff, he can do the getting forward stuff, he scores goals, he's got assists, and he's still only a wee bairn. So the system that Arteta plays with Bellerin not playing, Nicky, were you happy to see the way the players were all working together?
Yeah, it do seem like Maitland-Niles and Pepe have got some understanding quite quickly. Where I think pretty much, I don't know if Pepe's actually had a really good understanding with the rest of the squad all season. That sort of seems like us, like him on his own, sometimes floating out on the left and sometimes out on the right. But yeah, I mean, he's coming in, and Xhaka, I mean, a lot of people didn't notice he got the captain's armband again when Aubameyang went off. But I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't have took it off him personally myself, but then that's old news. But I don't know. He's with Xhaka, like a lot of players we've had over the years. He had his time as the boo boy because of everything apparently he doesn't do, but no one ever concentrates on what he does do. He's a really good passer of the ball. He does seem to draw quite a lot of fouls, whether that means he's like being clever or just diving and cheating, whichever way you want to say it. But that's, I think we're definitely a better midfield with him in the side, because when we had like Guendouzi and Torreira and people like that, they don't seem to know much about like positional play. They just seems to, which it's good they've got a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but just running around the pitch like headless chickens trying to get the ball, that isn't really going to work, in the Premiership, because if you just run off trying to get the ball, they're just going to end up passing it around you, and that's it's better. And if they keep playing with like Xhaka and a few of the other boys, they're going to learn that hopefully over the next year or so. If we keep Guendouzi.
And also, we've got on the other side, you've got Tierney, who's turning out to be a fantastic player, linking up with Saka now. Karl, does that remind you of the days where you'd have Ashley Cole and Bobby Perez? And on the right-hand side, you'd have, who played right back along with Lundberg? It would be Dixon. And who after Dixon?
Lauren. Wasn't it Lauren?
Lauren, that's the one, not Dixon. Forget that. It's and Lauren was, when he was playing in Mallorca, was a right midfielder. And Ashley Cole, when he was a kid, was a left-sided attacker. And so we've seen now that Tierney can play brilliantly down the left-hand side with Saka. Maitland-Niles can play down the right-hand side brilliantly with Pepe. And like Paul Neal's put there, Maitland-Niles is a better fit at the moment. And Sophie from the Highbury squad, who did a brilliant show today. Go and find the Highbury squad on YouTube. It was Sophie, it was Chris, and it was the bloke who wrote the book with Arsene Wenger and knows his French football just like Chris does. Really, it's only an hour. They didn't blabber on about nothing for ages like we do. Yeah, so go find that and give that a listen. It's really good. Sophie says, longest current serving player of the club will definitely be sad, as Bellerin was sad, as it's another example of hopeful young talent not fulfilling their potential at Arsenal. It's right there, isn't it, Karl?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Bellerin is going to fit in at Arsenal. I just can't see it at the moment. Since he had his injury, no matter what you say, he hasn't come back the same person. A lot of people say, it does take time to come back from the injury that he had. Granted, it definitely does. He had a horrific injury, absolutely terrible. But he's come back and he's not the same person. He's definitely lost a yard of pace. He's not as fast as he was. I mean, do you remember when we played Chelsea and he made that large tackle and the pace that he had? You can't see him doing that now. No way. He just hasn't got the speed, unfortunately. And he seems to switch off a little bit. And I don't know if it's because of the break. I mean, I know he loves Arsenal and he loves the club, but I just can't. At the moment, we can't afford passengers at Arsenal. We just genuinely do not have the capacity for it. And whereas we've got Cedric coming in now, do we want to keep Bellerin or do we want to sell him to sell him to Barcelona? I don't think Barcelona would take him now. I genuinely can't see that. So there's just something about him. He just makes mistakes. He can't really cross the ball. I mean, he gets forward, and the key would be, can you play him at right wing? But would you trust him? Is he a bit too slight to play him at right wing? Is he strong enough to play at right wing? Who knows? But I think if we can get, I would love Bellerin to stick around and be our captain, fulfill all the things that when we first saw him, we wanted him to fulfill. Unfortunately, that injury has definitely taken something out of him. Whether he just needs new surroundings, who knows? But Bellerin is not the player that he was 2 or 3 years ago, not by a long shot. So, unfortunately, I think this season, I don't know with the way football transfers are going to happen this season. I don't know whether we can afford to sell him. And I say that because, if you sell Bellerin, can we afford to bring someone else in, who's going to want higher wages? And you could say that, okay, we've got Cedric in now, but at the same time, you're going to need a backup right back. Now, I think I'd rather keep Bellerin as a backup right back than to go out and then buy another player who you're going to buy and give high wages to.
It will be sad because he made his debut in the 2013 season, the same season that Ozil made his debut. And then you look at the number of games, Bellerin 200-ish, just under 200, Ozil 250, and Ozil's played for almost nothing for a bit, missed an entire season by being ill and stuff like that. So, but Bellerin's only 25. He's still got time to go, maybe go back to Spain and to have an entire new career. I mean, as a right back with his skills, you could probably get another 7, 8, 9 years out of his career, possibly. But I do think that if we're going to come to the tactics bit in a minute, but I do think if you are going to play three at the back, then we can afford to have players as wing backs. And I think Maitland-Niles has shown occasionally before, and I think this last game they showed really well that it could possibly be the one of the many alternatives. But Avon has put here two things about Cedric. He can play left back and right back, so his ideal cover, but he adds almost nothing in the attacking third of the field. His standout stat is 70% success rate in tackles. He's an out-and-out defender. So the next thing we were going to come on to, which links to that, is Arteta's further down our list of stuff. Arteta's tactics. Is he changing them Nicky, is he changing them so much due to injuries, or is he just changing them for each game? Unlike Wenger, who would quite often play the same team no matter what the opponents, because we've seen three at the back in this game against Sheffield United, which nullified most of the game for them with really pacey fullbacks. Other games we've seen playing two at the back. Sometimes there's three in midfield. Sometimes, as we know, there's two in midfield with someone, maybe an Ozil doing no one does the Ozil role, but I know what I mean. But you know what I mean. Is the future of Arsenal under Arteta? We're going to see varying tactics for each game depending on who we're playing.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you don't want to go full Ranieri at Chelsea, Tinkerman, change, the players, the tactics, formation every game. But I mean, I can't remember what it was like before the break. But obviously, like you said, the Man City game, that's complete a washout because of the injuries. And I think what one did David Luiz done his knee as well. I think that was in the second half of the
Man City game, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we've had a few injuries in a few games, like quite early. Plus, other teams have been getting a few injuries as well. Plus, we've had extra subs because of what I'm not sure actually what the exact reason is. I think they're thinking because we're coming into summer, we're going to get a lot more hotter weather, so people are going to be more tired. I'm not sure, but it's hard to tell. But obviously, the more games we have under Arteta, the more we'll see if he keeps changing it. That's going to be the worst thing, especially if we're winning. Because fair enough, if he's going to change, formation, players, tactics, whatever, because we're losing, that's great. But if we have a brilliant game, like say if we beat Norwich tomorrow, say 4-0, the back four have a stormer, clean sheet, everything's hunky-dory. And then the next game, he just completely changes the back four to a back three or something like that. Then we'd have to question, why is he changing a winning side? Changing a losing side's easy. No one really cares about that much because you've got to try and do something different. But we'll see if he starts stringing a few wins together.
Karl, what's your thoughts on the tactics and what Nicky was just saying?
I'm slightly going to disagree with Nicky because the only reason why you play three at the back is because your defenders are not good enough. Let's be honest. So you can't trust two players, so you have to play three at the back. You have to play three defenders, for central defenders. So that's the only reason why you genuinely do play three at the back. Arsene Wenger did it. Do you remember when we went on a losing streak? Do you remember when we lost to, was it Crystal Palace, 3-1? And then the next game, we came in with a three at the back and we started winning again. For me, that's why you honestly do play a three at the back, because our defenders at the moment aren't good enough. No matter how you want to look at it, no matter how much you want to say, he's changing tactics, he's doing it because our players are not good enough. So therefore, you have to accommodate for what you have. We do have pacey wingers, whether you play Tierney or Kolasinac on the left, or whether you play Bellerin or Maitland-Niles, we have people who can get up and down the pitch, which is a good thing. for me, he has to, at the moment, we have to stick with three at the back. That's just my personal opinion, because no matter what combination of centre backs you put in, whether it be Luiz and Mustafi, whether it be Holding and Mustafi, or Holding and Luiz, or another, whoever you put in, they're not good enough. The two that we play at the back are not good enough. Now, if you do play Luiz, Holding, and I don't know, Sokratis, or Luiz, Holding, and Mustafi, whoever, there's three players that you've got there for protection. Now, that for me gives you a little bit more of defensive stability, just because I just don't think the two at the back are good enough. So I think Arteta has now seen it. I mean, yeah, he did it for the Southampton game. We played three at the back, and oh, for God's sake, making that the 2-0 up. Anyway, I digress. He did it for defensive stability, and then he's seen that it works. Then obviously he did it again for Sheffield, and again it worked. So I can see us maybe if we're at home, quote unquote, because there's no crowd there, but at home he might change it. But for me, the three at the back works because we just can't trust our centre backs. We do not have the faith, or I don't know what you want to call it, the skill, the defensive nuance to keep four at the back. Because like you said, if we play Bellerin's lost it. So if you play Bellerin a little bit high up at the pitch, therefore he can help with the attacking and also not have to worry about defending so much, because he knows that he's going to have a centre back behind him. I think once Bellerin is the last line of defence on the right, people are just going to keep on attacking, and the interchange you can have between Kolasinac and or Tierney and whoever we play on the left, that's also going to mostly going to be Aubameyang, isn't it? And Aubameyang does come back to defend quite a lot. So for me, we at the moment, because of the personnel that we have, you've got to have three at the back.
Yes.
Yeah, can I just add to that? Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Karl, but I think, especially over the last few games, because our midfield's been struggling as well, because I think obviously Torreira's still out, who's our apparent, defensive midfielder who's been out for a while. Xhaka, who tries but can very often get caught out as well as that. But obviously he miss like a couple of games through injury as well? Plus obviously Guendouzi's gone. So I think sometimes he's playing three at the back because that would work better with the midfield options we've got. I mean, he's just got to get a team that's balanced and works together, because it's not worth playing a back four if the midfield's just going to allow everyone to bomb onto him. And it's also not worth, playing three at the back, the same thing. If we're going to think, oh, well, we've got three defenders, if our midfield are going to think, oh, we've got an extra midfielder, it means I don't have to I don't have to defend from the midfield and from the front. It's going to be pointless. We could play five centre-backs. If the midfield doesn't want to help them out, our defence is always going to be terrible.
I mean, definitely. I mean, our midfield throughout the whole season, I think they're non-existent. I think there was a stat that I think I'll find for you, Danny, that our midfielders have contributed so we are now on our 31st game, and our midfielders combined have produced, I think, 6 goals between them, and that's every single person that plays midfield in the league. That is atrocious. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I think between them as well, I think it's something like 6 or 7 assists. That's ridiculous. That's very, very silly. And our midfielders don't really do anything that makes sense. I mean, yeah, you look at someone like Granit Xhaka, where, like we was talking before, he was, he had his time and he was our boo boy for some reason. Yeah, rightly so. What he did and what he done to the crowd, was unacceptable, 100%. But you asked the question, how many assists has Xhaka got? And if you're saying, pardon?
That's the tweet I did before I deleted 99,000 tweets. This was up before the Southampton game. Our 7 people who've played in the central midfield this season have combined to a total of 10 assists and goals. And
that is absolutely ridiculous for a club who's pushing on, for a club who wants to be in the Champions League, the club who, are striving to get into Europe and want to be with Europe's elite clubs. And our midfielders have have done 10 assists all season and 2 goals between them. That is absolutely shocking. We don't belong. This is what I'm saying, and people don't agree with me when I say this. We do not belong in the Champions League.
True.
We do not have. We honestly, I mean, when we was a quote unquote okay team, we got beat 10-0 or 10-2 by Bayern on aggregate twice. Now that we're a club how we are now, could you imagine us playing Barcelona or Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund or someone of that ilk? We would get absolutely mullered. And that stat for me is shocking, absolutely shocking. Granit Xhaka, 2 assists. 1 assist for the whole season. Guendouzi, 2 assists for the whole season. No goals. 24. No goals in 24 games and 2 assists. Mesut Ozil, 2 assists, meant to be the greatest number 10 that the world's ever seen. And in 18 games, he's only had 1 goal and 2 assists. That, for me, this is why we do not belong in the Champions League. And this is why our midfield just needs absolutely just ripping apart and coming back. We do need midfielders. I think if he was to, Danny, I'll ask you this question. I'll come to you. If you could only have a player from any part of the team, so you can only improve one part of the team, what would it be?
It's going to have to be someone who can score goals from midfield, because I think we're looking at that. If Torreira doesn't want to be at the club, I don't think. Guendouzi, you were just saying, this is only Premier League games. Guendouzi has played 56 games for Arsenal, no in the Premier League before the last 2 games, and no goals and 2 assists in 2 seasons. And he doesn't defend, does he? This is a topic we're going to come on to later. But he doesn't defend, he doesn't create, he doesn't score. So, I mean, I know he's pretty young, you're bringing him through, but it's going to have to
say that about most of our midfielders, Danny.
All of them.
Well,
say the fact that Ozil has virtually not played this season and he's still the top of all of our midfield players with 3 assists and goals between them. But like someone like Avon has just put there, look at Ozil drop off between 2016 and 18, 19, 20. Shocking. But we need goals from midfield. And this is just a rough thing. I mean, mate, I know, like it says there, Willock has played 21 games. He hasn't played 21 lots of 90 minutes, has he? Sometimes been 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But this is just, without going into a deep dive into all the stats, but Karl is going to have to be someone who can score from midfield. And whether it's going to be a Ramsey where he can get the goals, get the assists, and he's taking over everyone else's positions when they're not doing it properly, or whether it's like the 16-17 season where Ozil got 18, where he was just sitting in, he was doing the equivalent of goal hanging. He was just hanging around the 10 position and doing all the magic from there. You can hang around wherever you want as long as you do the magic. But imagine if we had peak Ramsey and peak Ozil, and then even something little like Xhaka. A couple of seasons ago, Xhaka had 1 goal and 7 assists. I mean, that's what you need. You need the creativity from every position, and we've got it from no positions. I mean, we're excluding the kids from this, like Willock, because he's still learning his trade. But Willock is just coming on leaps and bounds as well. It's fantastic.
I mean, he is, but like you said, Danny, we need someone who, one, is going to create in midfield. So of Ozil, Torreira, Ceballos, Guendouzi, and Xhaka, and okay, you can look up Willock if you really want to. Where's the creativity there? Where's the player that will give you that defense splitting pass? You can say Ozil, but for some unknown reason, Ozil's not the flavor of the month, where obviously we don't see what goes on in training, so he's not in the squad. Okay, rightly so. If he's not going to play himself in training, or you look at games, okay, fine. Torreira is our quote-unquote defensive midfielder. So although you could say it's not his job to provide assist, it kind of is. You're a midfielder, so your job is to control the middle of the park and give the balls to the strikers and stop the defenders having to concede. Ceballos, what would you call him? A box-to-box? Would you call him box-to-box, or would you call him a deep line playmaker? Would you call him an advanced playmaker? Who knows what he is? But at the end of the day, for 2 assists in the league, not good enough. What did we buy him for? What was his role what did we loan him for? What was his role when we went to Real Madrid and we said, right, Ceballos, we want you to come in and we want you to do what? Guendouzi, 2 assists this season, not good enough. He doesn't defend, he doesn't attack. Yes, he gets the ball and he runs with it, but the amount of times that guy loses the ball is unreal. And the amount of times he lets players go past him when the other teams attack him is just a joke. Xhaka, we look at that, and 1 assist all season. It's not good enough, really, is it? Like, considering how many games he's played, and every manager that we've had, so whether it be the manager we've got now, whether it be Lundberg as a caretaker, whether it be Emery, they've all played Xhaka. So there's something that they see in Granit Xhaka that they like, but he doesn't do anything on the pitch. Yeah, he sprays the ball from left to right, but no end product. So for me, we've got to improve our midfield. We need Ozil's got to go. That's for definite sure. Whether, like you said, Danny, whether Lucas Torreira wants to stay, who knows? Like, if he doesn't want to stay, sell him. If he doesn't want to stay, he's got to go. Ceballos, I can't see us keeping him. To be honest, I just don't see it. He's got to go. Guendouzi, well, we'll talk about Guendouzi a bit later. Granit Xhaka, he's going to stay because he's an ever-present in our midfield. And Joe Willock, he's going to get his chance. He's getting his chances now. So hopefully, you know, he'll come on leaps and bounds. But our midfield is really shocking this season. Absolutely offers no protection to the defenders and nothing going forward.
Agree with all of that, Karl. Nick, have you got anything to add to all of that lot? And then a question here from Julian: how many players are we away from a Champions League place? He says about 5. So your thoughts on the midfield, Nick, and then answer that question.
Well, we do. Midfield is quite a simple role, really, when you think about it. You're in the middle. When we haven't got the ball, you defend. When you have got the ball, you attack. That's why you're in the middle of the defence and the attack. And like I say, there's just no one seems to be any good at defending in midfield. No one seems to be any good at attacking or scoring goals. So it just makes you wonder, what's the point of any of those midfielders actually playing for us? Not saying like every midfield, because, you know, Gilberto didn't score loads of goals. You know,
I think his last season he might have got 6, which is a bit of an oddity. But
yeah, but I remember he was at one point quite a boo boy as well, where people saying, "Oh, what does he do? What does he do?" Look at all the goals Perez and Lundberg and Vieira runs around 2 foot and everyone, and then I remember he got injured for about 7-8 months. Can you remember that, Danny?
That's quite a summary of Vieira. He runs around 2 foot in everyone.
Well, you know,
that on his gravestone.
Yeah, but you wouldn't not notice him on the pitch, would you? You'd know if Vieira was playing straight away. You wouldn't need to double check the team sheet to see, oh, he was playing. I didn't notice he was playing, but you'd never not miss Vieira, would you? He was a presence. He was a captain. He was a leader. Everyone seemed to step up and play better with him. Like I say, but you look at them lot, none of them really, to be honest, is there any one of those, well, I know it's not FIFA Football Manager and we haven't got hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds to spend, but would that really bother you if any of those midfielders ever played for us again?
Apart from the kids, no.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking them out of it because they're not, you know, Xhaka and Willock. They've only played a few. This is their first season. So, you know, you allow them a little bit to work out the league and then hopefully they'll come good next year. But of the, you know, the older players and the, you know, in the 20s, not really.
In talking about Gilberto, in his last season with us, he got 1 goal in 36 games. His penultimate season, he scored 10 Premier League goals.
Wow.
Have that in a trivia quiz. Well, what other quiz would you get apart from fucking trivia? Have that in a football quiz. You'd never. What defensive midfielder scored 10 Premier League goals in his penultimate season with us? I'd have no idea.
Alex Song.
Yeah, he did play most of the time. He was like
number 10 behind Van Persie.
That's it. Karl, what do you think to Julian's question? How many players, Champions League player? I just said, no, you're going to say 11. How many 12? How many players are we away from being a Champions League team? Champions League place, so that means what? Down to 6th this season, possibly?
We're not going to get Champions League. Let's be honest. And we don't deserve to be in the Champions League, and I don't want to be in the Champions League. Only reason why I want to be in the Champions League is for the money, but we don't deserve it. If it's how many players, what question is it? How many players are we or places?
How many first team? Or how many players? Yeah, I suppose he means first team.
Quite a few. So I would say, right, definitely 2 centre backs. Definitely 3 midfielders, 100%. Because not one of our midfielders are good enough to play in the Champions League against the best teams against Champions League. So definitely a backup striker, because Lacazette, sorry, Chris, is not good enough. So I would say, what's that? I said 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's to count who you keep.
So I would say we're about 6 or 7 players away from a Champions League squad, because this current squad is no way near good enough to play in the Champions League. Nowhere near it.
It's nowhere good enough to play in the Europa League.
You're right. No, but the thing is, we're laughing, but you're absolutely right.
True. How much did we... I know we got through to the knockouts, but how many of those games, especially away, how many of those games did we struggle? Not just this year, but over the last...
Ostersund's beat us at home.
There you go. I mean, we lost to Olympiacos. And then Wolves went and battered them, what's it, 4-0? Did Wolves beat them? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous that this Arsenal squad did not make at least to the semi-finals of the Europa League. And then you got people crying that we want Champions League. If you can't get to the semi-finals and get knocked out by Olympiacos, why do we think that this squad is good enough for Champions League? We would get mullered by the Group 4 pot of the Champions League, let alone any other team. Like, there is no way on God's green earth this Arsenal team is anywhere near ready to compete for the Champions League. And if we do get rid, sorry, I say get rid, I know that's not the wrong word. If Aubameyang does leave, absolutely, God help us. Because if you have to have Lacazette leading the line, we will not score goals, because our midfielders aren't scoring any goals. Lacazette at the moment can't hit a fucking barn door.
At least he tries, though, doesn't he?
He does try, but unfortunately, you can try all you want, and he's trying hard, but it's not working. So then what do you do? I mean, yes, if you couldn't play, this squad can nowhere have Eddie and Nketiah and Lacazette up front as our 2 strikers. No way. We would absolutely not get anywhere. So for me, we are literally about 6 or 7 players away from a Champions League squad. And that's minimum. That's literally minimum. And we all know that we're not going to have 6... We're not going to replace 6 or 7 players this season.
We're talking first teamers as well, not
just first team. Exactly. And that's not
not squad team. And that's
about backup.
That's if no one gets injured. None of the new ones get injured, which they will in the first game. 3 of them will get injured.
There you go. So, yeah, we are a very, very long way from one even being in the Champions League, because there are several teams ahead of us in the league. And even if we get to the Champions League, again, there are several players who... we're just not good enough. We are not good enough to be in a Champions League, not by a long shot.
When you look, any decent players want to come to the Premier League. Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and possibly Spurs will all be ahead of us. I
was having this conversation with someone on Twitter, and someone asked me a question: why would someone want to come to Arsenal? And back in the day, I would have had my gun would have been loaded.
You'd have said, get comfy, son, get yourself a drink. This is going to be a long old list.
Of course. And now you think to yourself, why would you want to come to Arsenal? If you pick between Arsenal and Chelsea, Chelsea will pay you more. They've got better prospects. They're going to be in the Champions League. Even to the spec where, I personally, no matter what, would never, ever, ever, ever want to go to Spurs. But Spurs are going to pay you more than we can. They're going to, they've been to the semi-final of the Champions League, where we've missed the Champions League for the past 4 seasons. There's no hope of us getting to Champions League or looking like we are. So why would you want to come to Arsenal? Like, everyone knows about how rubbish our defense is. We know that we can't really pay high wages. What draw has Arsenal got? I still love Arsenal. I think Arsenal is the best thing in the world. You get to live in London. You get to be involved in one of the greatest football clubs ever. But as a footballer from another country coming in, and Arsenal, Chelsea, and the scum want you, you're going to pick Chelsea, aren't you? Like, let's be honest, you really are going to pick them. I would never pick Arsenal. I mean, I never pick Spurs over Arsenal. But as a player who, I mean, and that's me being biased because I have an affiliation with Arsenal. But wouldn't you look at that and think, I can be coached by Jose Mourinho? Yes, Jose Mourinho is a see you next Tuesday. We all know this. But, you know, he's a natural born winner. I hate Jose Mourinho, but the man is a natural born winner. I mean, yes,
he's a trophy, is he?
No, he's gonna bleed Spurs dry. That's for sure. But I guarantee within the next 2 or 3 seasons, he gets them a cup because that's what Jose does. That's exactly what he does.
He'll do it.
You say that, Karl, about, you know, all these players from abroad, and I said, yeah, exactly. And because we're not going to pay the money of the other guys are playing, and that all come down to one word as well: ambition. Have we really got any ambition to do any better? All we've ever heard about is, oh, we've got to get top 4 again, blah, 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 blah. Yes, because they want a little bit extra Champions League money. They're not actually, you know, they're not actually talking about winning the league. And I mean, I personally, that wouldn't bother me if we bought, I mean, we've got Saliba coming back off loan. I said this to Danny before. We don't need these flashy, take-a-risk players from abroad. I would be raiding lower down in the Premiership and the Championship because we don't need... What we need is not expensive and flash and all these like Hollywood signings from abroad. We need steel from the Championship. And those players, if we show ambition and said, look, we want to be back up the top. This is what we want to do. We're going to raid like 8, 9, 10 players in the, you know, just lower down in the Championship, tall, strong British midfielders, and say, I want you to play for Arsenal for the next 5 to 10 years. I want you to eventually, you know, captain, whatever. They will come to Arsenal, especially if they're London boys, because they'll be at the age where they could have supported Arsenal when they were good. And they
remember when we were good.
But do you know what you're saying? You're right, and I'm just watching the Brighton Man United game, and probably because they're losing 2-0, this is not a good thing. But I go for Dunk.
I would.
I definitely would go for him. I would go for Max Aarons when Norwich get relegated, because they are going to go. So you could go for there now. I would go. Definitely, I'd go for Max Aarons. He is a ready-made replacement at right back for Bellerin, and if whoever gets him, and he's going to leave, isn't he? Him and also what's the midfielder called again?
Another one you want about?
Rendia.
Oh, the midfielder,
Norwich midfielder,
the blonde-haired one. Yeah, him. That's the one.
Yeah.
I would go for him as well. Like 100%, I'd go for him. But you know, he's going to end up going to probably a Chelsea or someone like that. Get paid.
Well, cheers, Mike.
That's the one. Yeah, Tom Cantwell. Like, I'd definitely go for him. But whether you want to come to Arsenal, why aren't we talking to him now? You know, he's going to go. We know for a fact that Norwich are going down. Let's be honest. It's going to be a miracle. Max Aarons as well. Go for these sort of players. Go for Dunk. Go for them sort of players in case Brighton go down, and it's looking like, you know, they might just scrape staying up. But these are the players, like Nick said, these are the players that we should be going for. You know, it almost seems like buying a British midfielder from lower down the league doesn't work for us. I mean, we've got Rob Holding. So, you know, it kind of does work. You need to go for, like you said, them steely, no nonsense, gets the ball and kicks it out. But it seems like now you need to have that centre back who can play the ball, you know, play it around, do a 30-yard pass to the left and to the right. Sometimes that's not needed. Sometimes we don't want that. We want a person who can win a header above anybody else and just get it up the field.
Yeah, Karl, what was saying? Like you say, when you say Rob Holding and Callum Chambers and people, I'm not talking 17, 18-year-old centre halves that have got to train. I'm talking
27, 28-year-olds.
Yeah, 25 plus. And they can come straight in. They know the British game. They know what they need to do. And if you, like I say, if you sell them on the club and say, he's going, I'm going to be here. And I know it's not nice, you know, because they won, but you look at what Liverpool did 5-6 years ago. They raided, and we all took them. mick out of them. They raided like the Palaces, the Southamptons,
Hull.
Hull. They raided those type of players. They got their base set. They got into thing. Then obviously they added your Mo Salah, your Mane's and stuff like that. They absolutely ripped Barcelona off for Coutinho and sold him. Absolutely ripped him a new one. And then what was the final piece of the puzzle? A goalkeeper and a centre half. So I went, what's the best goalkeeper centre half in the league available? Van Dijk. And we all laughed, 70 million. Well, that's good. If he's going to be how he's going to keep playing for the next 2 or 3 years, he was a bargain. They've bought a decent keeper as well. But it's like we're trying to finish the puzzle like we were the late 2000s when we needed like one more striker or one more centre half. That's gone. We've got to completely smash this up and start a whole new spine of the team and then add the flair later. But we'll have to see what if they're willing to do that.
But
I mean, that's going to upset a few people, like if Aubameyang and Lacazette and Ozil and a lot of players go, and if we replace them, like I said, with players they haven't heard of because they're not got 5 stars out of 5 on FIFA, they're all going to get upset. But if we start the season well and we're winning game or playing well and we're not getting spanked 6-0 by Chelsea one week and stuff like that, they will then become stars. And that's what I want them to do.
Avon makes, before that, Karl, Avon's put, he hasn't said why he's put this, but I think we can guess. Elneny, Mkhitaryan, Kolasinac, Sokratis, Guendouzi, Alba, and if we're lucky, Laka, Ozil, maybe Bellerin and Ashley Maitland-Niles. If we're unlucky, Saka. I think he's talking the ones he wants to go. That's an entire team's worth. I mean, that's 2 or 3 transfer windows to get rid of, isn't it, Karl, normally?
Yeah, 100%. But do you know what? This transfer window coming up is going to be it's a very, very funny one, isn't it? Just because of when the league's going to start, how many weeks of rest are they going to get, when the deals are going to get done. I'm going to assume that we're going to have a European transfer window that's all going to shut on the same day because of what's happened with the whole COVID thing. So, usually that the
5th of October.
So the Premier League transfer window usually closes early, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That can't happen this season. No way can that happen this season. We've all got to be in line with the rest of Europe. And even money, teams are not going to have money this season because there is no match day revenue. Arsenal rely on so much match day revenue, don't they? So much. And at the end of the day, we just don't have that match day revenue. So automatically, you're talking, maybe 50 to 60 million pound down on what you would normally do. We don't have that anymore. So therefore, we have to be very, very smart. And this is why we gave David Luiz a new contract. This is exactly the reason why we gave him a new contract, because we know for a fact it was an easy and very cheap option to have David Luiz. Rather than go out and buy a new centre back where you're going to have to pay them, let's call it 80,000 pounds a week plus. And then on top of that is their transfer fee, signing on fee, blah, 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 blah. We don't have the money for that. And maybe he's looking at that and thinking, okay, the money that we signed David Luiz for, and I believe that he's taken lesser terms, which if he has, well done to him, and I'm thankful for that. If we can use that money to go elsewhere into the squad, there are too many high earners at Arsenal that are doing nothing. Namely Ozil. Ozil needs to go. He's an high earner that's earning nothing. And if Aubameyang doesn't want to stay, we've got to sell him. We've got to sell him. And if we can get even 30 million for him, then go. Fine, go. He's got to go. Take the money for him. We will find another striker to take up his wages. I believe he's on like £200,000 a week. Lacazette, as much as I want Lacazette I'd love him to carry on. And I want Lacazette to do well. The fact of the matter is, like I said earlier, we cannot afford passengers. Lacazette is not doing it this season. He's not scoring the goals. And, he's been given chances. I'm not going to sit here and have someone say to me, oh, he hasn't had chances. Yeah, you have. And you just do not do it. So there are so many people in the squad that we need to get rid of. Saka, we need to tie him down to a contract. right now, that should be Arsenal's main priority, is to get Saka tied down to a contract, because if he doesn't sign a contract, then we're going to have to sell him to get some sort of money for him. And you're talking, what, at the age he is and what he's doing in the season, we're talking about maybe 15 million. Liverpool would snack him up straight away, literally snatch him up straight away. Of course, Liverpool will be after him, Man United will be after him, because James ain't doing that much at Man United. And there are so many teams that would come in for him, and we'd have to take pittance for him. We'd have to take maybe 15, or could we get 20 million for him? Young English talent, maybe. But, you know, once again, Arsenal's allowed to get into this position, which is absolutely atrocious.
Very, very good stuff there, gentlemen. Julian had a good point, if I can go and find it. Just quick bit on this, you two. Julian Salmon says, lads, can I have your verdict on Edu's input? Not sure a lot has changed, to be honest, from that idiot who went to Milan, which we all know is Mr. Gazidis, absolute scumbag. Nikki, just quickly, what's your thoughts on how Edu is done? Or you like me, do you go, what does he do? What's his job definition? Because it seems to me, Raul and is it Venai? They're the ones that are doing all they think they're Del Boy and Rodney at the moment, bringing in all the players and people they're friends with, agents, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
Well, he looks nice in a suit, I suppose. That's quite nice. But I mean, maybe we'll find out a bit more when Wenger's book comes out about, you know, the manager versus the sporting directors, or who, you know, the chief execs, because you hear, like, a lot of the times, like, not just at Arsenal, everywhere, like, if a player comes in and does terrible and the manager gets sacked, the manager then says, I never bought him, that was the, you know, the unit, or who, you know, the sporting director, and if a player does really, really well, that was 100% the manager and stuff like that. So we'll know in the next couple of years if we start recruiting better players or worse players. Because, I mean, like, I think we had put in there earlier, we were talking about, like, Martinelli and people like that. Yeah, it was good finding a player like Martinelli. Yeah, can you find us another one in midfield and another decent centre-half, please? You know, because that's his job, isn't it? That's not difficult. If he thinks that's going to be his job, he's going to be like a head scout or head sporting director, and he knows about players, then he should be able to find these players fairly easily. And, you know, or is it just because the guys in charge at Arsenal are quite pally with some of the agents, and they won't rip us off when we buy players that are represented by those agents?
Well, I was reading, and you know what I'm like. My mates call it word number wang. Word tombola. I've got all the words in my head, all the facts, and I spit them out wrong. But the gist of it was, Pepe, when he was at Lille, was wanting a move. His agent at the time couldn't get him a move, so he got rid of his agent and got another agent, and still nobody was coming in for him. Then all of a sudden, Arsenal come in and offer 72 million over 5 years. And you're thinking, hold on a second, I think some of you need to have your bank balances checked, that you might have accounts in other countries. I mean, it's all hearsay, but why would you go in and spend £72 million on the bloke that, apart from Chris, none of us have ever heard him? You go and have a look at his record. I mean, the bloke they replaced him with, Lille, is doing better than what Pepe did last season for them. I like Pepe. I've got all the time in the world for him. You can see he's got something, but they are in bed with the super agents now, aren't they, Karl? Oh,
yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, unfortunately, yes, they are, and that's it now. Raul has got in bed with them, and now he's got his finger wrapped around all of them, because that's it now. It's ridiculous for me. Arsene Wenger, for a reason, stayed away from all the super agents, all of them. And that's why, technically, quote unquote, we was never able to get none of the best players in the world. You know, that's why we came so close to signing all these players, because all of them are affiliated with the super agents. But I think we're in bed with the wrong one, because, you know, people keep talking about Arsenal getting Coutinho. Now, Coutinho has gone to Barcelona. has done nothing. He's then gone to Bayern Munich. He's done nothing. So why do we now want him on super astronomical wages, which he's going to ask for and demand, and Arsenal's stupid enough to pay it? Because why? Because the Kia disruption can get him us. No, that's not what we want. That's not what we need. Unfortunately, now when agents tout players to you, you know something's wrong, don't you? It's not the player that you want, but if an agent's coming to you and saying, "Oh, you know what? Sign this player," and obviously that means that he's almost on Arsenal's books. You might as well pay a super agent a weekly wage, because that's what we seem to be doing. If an agent's coming around, and like you said, Danny, if Pepe, if that's what you read is true, if he couldn't get a move, he changed agents, couldn't get a move again, and then suddenly we come in with £72 million. Lille must have been laughing their heads. I was thinking, yeah, we'll take that. Of course we will. Like whether the deal is structured over so many years and whatever it is.
They all are, Karl. They're all payments.
Yeah, 100%. It all is, and I think most of it was made. It was made a big deal out of it because no one, even how Man United pay for Paul Pogba, Man United are still probably paying Juventus for Paul Pogba. Like now, without
Barcelona still owed us money for Cesc when they sold him to Chelsea.
Yeah, so there you go.
So it is.
But I think we looked at, like you said, we looked at Pepe, and we said, did we really need him? Could we have gone for Saha? I think Pepe is a much better player than Saha. Let me say this right now. But you look at the guy at Newcastle, Maxi, what's his name?
It's like a speeding train.
Yeah,
I like him.
He's absolutely brilliant. And he cost Newcastle like a fraction of the price that we pay for Pepe. So it's kind of who you go for. But end of the day, so I'm going to wrap this up quickly now. The next players that we bring in, we have to make sure that they're correct, because whatever Vinay and Raul are doing, and even so Edu, what are they doing? No one knows what they do, but bringing in the right players at the moment, you can say that they've kind of struck out on bringing us the right players, because not one player they brought in has done absolutely well. I mean, you think of Aubameyang. That was Gazidis deal, wasn't it? It was one of his last deals, I believe.
Yeah.
Tierney, that was all arranged before the summer, wasn't it? He was always going to sign for us. And the players that they brought in after that haven't really made an impact, have they? So, we'll see what happens.
Alan Saint-Maximin, he looks really good. But Archie says Pepe is better than him. Well, Pepe's 27. I think Alan is Alan is 23, and he's 3 goals and 1 assist this season. So different clubs, but yeah, he is. He's definitely got something there if they can harness that and shape him into a great player. There's people who put in lots of really good stuff in here, and we've got other things that we need to talk about. Hold on. David Keith has said something nice. Great to see you fine gentlemen again. What is going on behind the scenes? We haven't moved on from Gazidis. Contracts running down as per normal. If we lose Saka, questions will be asked. That's what we're all worried about. Why it seems no matter whether it's Gazidis, whether it's Edu, whether it's Raul and Vinay, whether it's Arteta, Ljungberg, Emery, Wenger, there's only one constant at the club, isn't there? And that is the owner not taking control. Because I know if I owned the club, I would be there. I'd be there all day, every day. I'd have my office in the centre of the pitch. I'd be in a big bubble, and I'd have people coming to see me all day, every day. Oh, one of you has put something in the chat. What have you put? Oh, there's 2 lots. Okay. Yes, we have, haven't we? Right, next thing we should move on to quickly. Big Bob Holding. Nick, how impressed have you been with him? Started a couple of games, came on to replace Luis, and Luis went off. I think he had a bit of a knock against Sheffield United. You been impressed with him?
Yeah, I mean, ever since he sort of burst onto the scenes and he had that brilliant game with Mertesacker in the cup final against Chelsea, I just think he's one of these players. He just doesn't seem to do much wrong. He's really good on the ball position. He's good at playing the ball out. And obviously he got that bad injury, and hopefully, touch wood, that's it for him now. And if he wants it, I mean, a lot of players, if they I mean, you can put Callum Chambers in on that. If they want that centre-half place position, they can take it. But, you know, it seems like quite a lot of the time they get a run of games going, 5-6 games, another injury, change everything up. But if he could stay fit, he could be the next captain if he wants it.
When you look at it, we've got Saliba coming in, Luiz, Chambers, Holding, Sokratis, Mustafi, all there you go. That's 6 players. Even if we play 3, like Karl was suggesting next season, we have got 6 really good players there, various stages of their and degrees of their stage of their career, and so I think there is going to have to be some budging on there. And I would like to keep Chambers and Holding there, and Saliba, and I think Sokratis. I think he can go. Mustafi probably can go. And by the looks of it, they want to keep Luiz. I think Luiz will probably leave at the end of next season. Because although people have moaned about him, he's got a lot of experience. He was there when Brazil got smashed 7-1 by Germany. One of my favourite ever games at home in the World Cup semi-final. Oh, what a time to be alive. Karl, one for you on Kieran Tierney, who's I always think I've said that wrong, but I don't think I have. Are you impressed with him? And do you think he's made it into the top 10 Arsenal left-backs yet? Or do you think he can do?
No, not yet.
After 3 games, it's quite hard.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Not yet. He's not even been there a whole season yet. Yeah. So we cannot, no way, say how good he's going to be. I'm impressed with him. I am very impressed with him. The fact that he gets forward and he can cross a ball. I like that. Long may it continue. You know, he's very injury prone, and hopefully he can have a good run. You know, towards the end of this season. You know, hopefully he does start. You know, I do want him to start nearly every game because I want to put him through his paces and see what he can actually do. Because next season, you know, he's going to be our starting left back, and I really, really want him to press. So whether he's top 10, I'm going to say no, not yet, because he hasn't played enough games. You've got to play at least 20 games or have at least 2 seasons. Yeah, at least you got to have at least 2 seasons at Arsenal for that to happen, and he's only had like literally 3/4 of one. But by what I've seen so far, yes, very impressive him.
Oh, we've got a new name here. We have Leon Ellen. Experience means nothing when it means experience in getting red cards. I mean, what's he had? 3 red cards and 4 own goals this season. Poor old Mr. Luiz, and now we'll move on from that because we'll all end in tears. Martinez. Nick, your thoughts on Martinez? He is going to play every game for the rest of the season. Matt Macy is now on the bench. That young... Cat's having a turn. That young goalkeeper who played really well last season, I asked George Bird today, and he said his name's Arthur. Maybe Arthur? I've not written it down. He came for the under-23s last season. He was only 18, played 4 games, 3 clean sheets. He said he's back in training now, and so that's a really good sign. But Martinez, would you keep him here next season to be back up? And do you think he's ever going to be competing for the number 1 spot with Leno against?
Well, I heard he's been there like 7 or 8 years already. I couldn't believe it.
He's our longest serving player. He's been here for 10
years. When they said it, I couldn't believe he's been there that long. I mean, so he's got what? Depending on if we get to the cup final or not, because he still played him in the FA Cup. He didn't pick the 3rd choice keeper, did he? In Sheffield, I don't think he did. So he's got a good 5 or 6 games to at least make Arteta think about it. Because before Leno got injured, I think we were talking about it on here just before we started up again. I was saying, I'd take Fraser Forster and let them and Leno try and fight it out, you know, and have 2 more evenly-ish matched goalkeepers. You know, Foster's probably got a bit more experience in English football than Leno. But that wouldn't have bothered us if he'd have gone at the end of the season. But now that's up to him. If he wants to stay, he's got 5-6 games to prove it, or if not, he's got 5-6 games to maybe find himself another club. So that's down to him now. Hopefully he plays well, because that's better for everyone if he plays well.
There's always that saying talking about players, you never buy a decent player in a January transfer window. Bruno Fernandes has now got 5 goals in 8 Premier League games, and he has single-handedly turned that club round. They're 3-0 up now. That's the kind of deals we need to be doing. I'm just looking at how much they pay for him. 67.6 million. And, oh, Jesus, I'm going to move away from that. That's made me well up.
But didn't they try to buy him in the summer and were going to buy him again this summer, and they just paid extra to get him?
Oh, I've got no idea. I don't.
I think we did. We bought Reyes and Adebayor in January.
Yes, but usually that's you can't buy decent players in the window. Karl, yes or no for Martinez? Would you keep him as backup next season? Before I give you your main question.
Yes.
I agree. Right, Lacazette, since this season, 9 goals in 30 games. Now, I've been looking at 2020 games only because we had such a long break. And so it's in 2020, Lacazette has played 14 out of our 20 games and scored 3 goals. Eddie has played 11 games and scored 4 goals in 2020. So what does that make you think about Eddie and Laka and the possible who should be playing up front? I think you did say earlier you'd pick Eddie, didn't you?
Yeah, like I said, we need to sell him for whatever money we can get for him. And I know what people say it's a reactionary thing, and but as if Aubameyang was to, God forbid, Aubameyang was to get injured and was out for the rest of the season, Arsenal would be fucked. Excuse my language, because Lacazette is not good enough. He's not good enough to play up front. I mean, in a 2, I'd love to see Lacazette play up front with Aubameyang, because Lacazette is always the deep lying one, because he's the one that comes deep to get the ball. But against Sheffield United, which he started the game, yeah, granted he won the penalty, a very soft penalty at that. But what else did he do in the game? You could say very, very weakly that he assisted with the rebounding of the free kick for Nelson, but Willock. But again, it's another game where, for me, he's done nothing. He's always on the floor. He's running around. The effort is there, but unfortunately, the end product and the skill is not there. It's not. It's just not good enough. He's not good enough to play for Arsenal, unfortunately. And if we can get 25 mil for him, whether we would, he's in the last years of his contract, would we get 25 mil for him? This is Arsenal. We're talking about Arsenal, who got nothing for Aaron Ramsey and nothing for Jack Wilshere, and no pittance for the starting goalkeeper for Juventus, the best club in Italy. So we got 10 mil for a player that went to Italy and is the first team goalkeeper. So unfortunately, we don't sell well, but we need to sell Lacazette and we need to bring in someone. And if you want to put your faith in Eddie, then so be it. Put your faith in Eddie, because if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But for me, you need a main striker. Eddie is not good enough to be our main striker. Let me make that clear. He is nowhere near good enough to lead the line for Arsenal and be the main striker for Arsenal. No way near it. But as a backup striker, I would take Eddie over Lacazette any day.
Just quickly, Nick, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember one of the first shows I did when we were talking about Lacazette, and they were saying, Chris was saying, he's just having a little iffy patch, and all strikers do that, blah, 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 blah. But when I remember that I was on Sky, they said over the last 3 seasons, you could see his numbers have just been declining pretty much steadily for the last 3 seasons. And I know it's not a silly thing to say, but he's not shooting. And I know that's an old thing we said, should he shoot more? Well, he's not going to score if he doesn't shoot. And that's just his numbers per... Well, it's not rocket science, is it? And I don't think he had a shot
14.
Other than that free kick and then the rebound that went straight back into the wall again. That's probably his first 2 shots he's had since we restarted. And like I say, I mean, Aubameyang hasn't scored either. So if those guys think they're going to get some kind of super move where they're going to get loads of money abroad, I can't see loads of people, who I've got the money would want them, how they've been playing. I mean, Atletico Madrid, I know the link was there with Lacazette before he came to us and they got a transfer ban. But do you think they'd really want him off us? I don't think so.
100%. If Atletico didn't have a transfer ban, that's where he would be right now.
I think
He would not be at
gone.
Arsenal. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it'll be sad if he goes because he's got the best beard at the club. He's the best looking bloke at the club. And you know damn well he'd probably give a good hug and he'll smell nice. He'll have top quality schmutter when it comes to the aftershaves. So it'd be sad to see him go. And I'll miss Aubameyang and his celebrations. But the future, as we keep saying, is the kids. We haven't got the money for the stars, and that money can be reinvested to bringing in more stars. But during the thing that has just recently happened, the name that shall not be mentioned, they've had to let go of a load of our scouting staff from all over Europe and the rest of the world. As quite a few have gone, apparently. I did try to make a list, but then I couldn't find where I originally read it. But yeah, things aren't looking good. And like you were saying earlier, Karl, the club, something along the lines of £150 million reserves we had, and because of all the match day or projected reserves or whatever it was, because of no match day income, like you were saying, and having to pay everyone's wages because we saw the uproar from Liverpool and Spurs saying they're going to furlough their staff, so we couldn't do it. They changed their mind, and all the money's just trickling out of the club. And any money that we did, that war chest we had for the summer, that's looking very empty. I do like this, the phrase war chest. Right, we have been going for an hour and 25 minutes. I want 1 minute from each of you on Guendouzi. Karl, has Guendouzi got a future at the club? If so, what is it?
I would say he's got a future at the club, but his attitude needs to change. And I mean, everything about his attitude needs to change. If the reports are true and what he said to that Brighton player, absolutely ridiculous. You know, that just shows the mentality of him saying that, oh, I get paid more than you. Like the stupid, utter, and you could say he's a child. He's 19 years old, and technically he is a child. So therefore,
19.
So,
I was a twat at 9. Well, some would say I still am. At 19,
at 19, you're a bit of a prick, but he needs a talking to. And the problem is, there's who in that dressing room can you see that would actually grab him by his hair and say, shut the fuck up, pull up your socks and do a better job. No one in that team would do that because everyone's too pally-pally, everyone's too nice, everyone's too scared to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you really think, and I hate to harp on about the old times, but do you really think if Patrick Vieira was in that dressing room, that would happen? Not in your life. No way would that happen.
Where he goes up to him, grabs him around the throat, and lifts him off the floor.
That's what he would do. But no one in that dressing room is strong enough for me, has got a backbone to say, shut the fuck up. You know, if you're going to have that sort of energy, have the energy and put it into your performance. Don't go after the guy after the game. The best thing you could have done was score a goal or assist. But you're going after him. But you're going after him after the game. It's just stupid. So for me, he has got a future at the club. Yes, he has. But he really does need to change. And if after this season, and he hasn't improved, then by all means, sell him. He can go.
Before I come to you, Nick, there's Leo Ellen has put that apparently Lacazette has only scored away 3 times in 3 years against clubs that are still in the Premier League. Yeah, I'm going to try and explain this next fact that I heard. I love a good fact. Lacazette scores a Premier League away Premier League goal. Then Eddie Nketiah scores a Premier League away goal. Eddie Nketiah goes on loan for half a season. Eddie Nketiah comes back, scores another away league goal. And he's done all of that lot since Lacazette has scored an away Premier League goal. So that's quite bad, isn't it? So, Nick, you're Guendouzi. What do we do?
Like you say, I mean, we plucked him from France. No one thought he was going to start. Even Chris didn't think he was going to start. He said one for the future, so he thought, okay. And then all of a sudden, he's playing every game. Everyone's raving about him. He's the next best thing. He sees the money going into his bank account. Everything's rosy, and he's probably got a few million in there. That's going to go to his head. And around the time, like probably about a year ago, that's when he's just sort of hit a brick wall in his development. He doesn't seem to be getting any better as a player. If anything, he's probably regressed a little bit. You know, whether or not because he's playing with a few different midfielders a lot, I don't know. But yeah, that's just attitude. He just hasn't got it. I mean, whether or not he really cares about some club in London, whether he thinks, oh, well, screw you, I'll go back to France, PSG, will have me, or Lyon or whatever. If that's what you want to do, then fair enough. He just needs an attitude adjustment, not the wrestling move. Just an actual good telling off.
Going back to what me and Karl were saying, we do know he's 21. He was 19 when he joined the club, and he hasn't really changed his attitude since he was 19. But I wanted to know why Guendouzi was at PSG, and then he was loaned out to Lorient, Chris's team, and then in that he played in League One, played a few games in League One from then. Then I think he got relegated, and then he played most of a season in League Two. So if he was that good, why didn't? And if Chris was here, he'd be shaking his head now and going, "You don't understand." But it makes me wonder if he's that good. Why did PSG let him go in the first place, and then why did he leave France? So I just don't see what he does. Like we were saying earlier, midfielders, you either tackle and get the ball, you either get the ball and give the ball, or you create stuff or score goals, and they're the jobs you do as a midfielder. And he does absolutely none of them apart from run around like a blue bottle. They don't run. If a blue bottle had legs, and that's what he do, run around.
Headless chickens, what you look for.
That is the. Oh, geez, scared the life out. Got an old people's home at the end of my road, and the silly fuckers keep setting off the alarms. So 3 or 4 times a day, we'll have 2 fire engines going up and down there. Right, so we have got to the end of most of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. We're now going to move on to listeners' questions. So the emergency questions, I have not had to break the glass and remove them because there you've got the Dutch Giroud there, whose name I cannot say. So I'll have to look that up before next time. Northern Gooner, Karl says, is our blueprint wrong? We can't compete with the best financially, and the odd big money signings plastered over the bigger issues. Is it time to clear out big contracts, build slowly with the younger signings, build a young squad and be patient? Would fans accept a rebuild? Because that's not going to be quick, is it?
No, but I think we do. With the world as it is at the moment, we don't know when Arsenal's matchday revenue is going to be able to go back up to what it was. For me personally, it won't happen this year. The fans will not be allowed back in the stadiums I think for at least a year. You have to look at it logically. Mass gatherings are not going to be allowed, and a football game is a mass gathering. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. So you have to look at. Arsenal have to look at responsibly who they are going to get. We have to clear out. We have to clear out mass contracts, big contracts. They have to go. We can't afford to have players, the likes of Ozil, sitting on the bench under umbrella with his feet up doing nothing. We just can't afford for that to happen. We need players. And if it is Project Youth or whatever you want to call it, then so be it. Arsenal are not good enough. We know they're not good enough. We have to do things better. And at the moment, we're not. I mean, you look at Leroy Sané's just gone to Bayern Munich for 50-odd million. Leroy Sané is an absolutely brilliant player, and he's gone to Bayern Munich for 50 million. That's just, you're looking at that, and Arsenal would. And I'm not saying Arsenal to go for Leroy Sané because Manchester City would never sell Leroy Sané to us, not in the month of Sundays. However, what I'm trying to say to you is Leroy Sané is an absolutely brilliant player, absolutely brilliant. And he's managed just to go to Bayern Munich for 50 mil. That is a bargain. I don't care. Anyone says that's an absolute bargain for someone of that ilk. Who knows? He had a very bad injury and he might not come back the same player. Again, it's another gamble. But Arsenal... That's the sort of deals that we should be looking at. That's the sort of player that we should be looking at. We should be looking at Leroy Sané and thinking, hold on, we need a pacey winger. Why don't we go for him? But no, we don't, because 1, we can't afford him, and 2, it's just not something that's within our reach. We can't, if we're, like I said, even if Leroy Sané weren't German, and if we was competing with a player, and Bayern Munich were competing for a player, of course he's going to go to Bayern Munich, because he can get a better prospects at Bayern Munich. So, yeah, the blueprint we had needs to be ripped up, and we have to have an owner who's ready to invest. We have to. At the moment, we just do not have an owner who wants to put his money where his mouth is. So until that happens, we are going to be stuck in limbo.
Avon, as usual, makes a brilliant point. Match day revenue is 25% of all revenue, 100 million of a 400 million turnover. But 2 years ago, we were turning over 600 million a season because we were getting Champions League type money on commercial and player sales. Plus, we had all the property sales that came in, and that's all dried up as well. And
I mean, yeah, it's if you're in Europe, that's another. You think if you're in the group games, that's another 3 games. If you get a home draw for a League Cup or an FA Cup, it's a lot of match day revenue. It's a lot of burgers being sold, beer drunk, match day programs being bought, even season tickets. So do you think to yourself, Arsenal are going to be down on season ticket sales because you cannot have people in the ground? So why are people going to give Arsenal season tickets? Or how can we sell season tickets if you cannot have people in the ground? People are going to be like, well, why am I going to give you what's the average price of an Arsenal season ticket? £1,200? Like, we're not going to, no person in the world is going to say, yeah, Arsenal, have my £1,200 and I'm going to watch the game on Sky Sports. Absolutely ridiculous. So even that, we need to think about, it's not just match day sales, it's also ticket sales. The fact that we do not have any, if we can't let people in the ground, there's no season ticket sales. We are Arsenal. Well, not just Arsenal, because let me make this clear. Every single club will be in this financial difficulty. Every single club in world football. And unless something happens and they say, okay, people are allowed in grounds, which I'm going to say I very much doubt that the government are going to allow mass gatherings and allow people into the grounds. A lot of clubs are going to be in trouble, and you're going to see a lot of clubs getting in debt just trying to get players.
You're very good at this, Karl. Right, one for you, Kyle. No, Nick from Kyle. Or you can call yourself Kyle if you want. This is from Nick Kyle. Let's talk Martinez. Small sample size, number of games played, but his distribution has been ridiculous. Now, I think he means good. The youth of today, I never know. And seems to slow down the game far less than Leno. Yeah, he does mean good. Assuming his current form continues, does Leno walk back into our team next season, or does he have to fight for his place back? So we've already all said we'll keep him as number 2. Do you think it's going to be easy for Leno to walk back in?
It should never be really easy for a goalkeeper to walk in. I mean, it depends how long he's out injured for. I've heard some people say it's like 6 weeks. I've heard some people say it's 6 months. So I assume that's, with Arsenal, that's somewhere in the middle, probably. 2 years. But we'll have to see what you see. And goalkeepers should love that, because you've got to have competition. If you ain't got competition, you get comfortable. You might as well not bother as a goalkeeper.
Well, there you go, people. And we are moving on from the days of David Espuna, who was officially 4'6", and Almunia was about 4'8", to people like Matt Macy, who's 6'5" or 6'6". And yeah, I always think a goalkeeper should.
I feel sorry for Almunia. What did we do to that poor man's heart?
We were shit. Fuck off. He was. Almunia is. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go on a tangent here. Almunia was 100% one of the worst Arsenal goalkeepers of all time, and. Yeah. That's another story we can go on for another day, but he was atrocious. Pardon?
Steve used to refer to him.
Yeah.
Come back out the area windmilling. He said, fucking Jerry fucking Payton.
He was, Mooney was atrocious, but anyway, let's move on.
Okay, next question is going to come in from Josh Robinson for the pair review. Karl, when Aubameyang leaves, who's your pick for club captain? Reinstate Granit Xhaka for me, says Josh.
To be honest, I kind of have to agree, because at the moment, there's no one I could see at Arsenal in the current first team, apart from Bellerin, he will give a rousing team talk. And, do you know what's really good? And I'm going to come up with this very, very quickly. I'm not going to Chris Carpenter it. When you watch the games with no sound, you hear the players talking. I absolutely love it when you hear the players talking. Granit Xhaka is constantly telling to people, push up, come back, go left, go right. And I absolutely love that. I love the fact that he does that. No other player at Arsenal does that. So for me, Granit Xhaka.
Nick?
Yeah, I'd probably go with him. I'd like Rob Holden and maybe someone else, but that depends on what they do in the summer. If they bring in like loads of new bodies, then we should have a pick. But like I said, at the moment, that's quite slim pickings at the moment. I mean, we gave it to Aubameyang because he's our best player and best goal scorer, but I don't know if he's done. I don't know if he's actually done anything on the pitch that would make him, like you'd say, he was a captain. Really,
Drew said it would be a bad idea, and it hasn't really turned up. Well, personally, I'd go Leno, because you need the first thing you need for a captain can play every game. Leno's going to play every game. He was captain in his last season at where was he? Leverkusen? Oh, I can't remember. Wherever he was. Yeah, for his last season with Germany, and I'd go for him. Well, there again, you see the some of the pictures of Tyranny shouting and screaming, Keown-esque. I thought, oh, that's what we like. A little bit of although he's born in the UK, in England, in the Isle of Man, he's Scottish. Does he have a Scottish accent? I suppose he does.
Yeah, I think if you listen to him talk, he does have a Scottish accent.
It's lovely. It's been too long. Right, Karon has got a good question here. Karl, which of the two would you prefer? Loan Ozil to a top division club, pay some of his salary, and use the money saved on fresh signings or contract extensions, or keep him for next season, hoping he will get some play time and have a proper send off whilst in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, I'd loan him out. It depends on how much of his contract we're paying. You know, if you was to pay, I don't know, 50 grand of his £350,000 wages, yeah, you would do that any day of the week, wouldn't you? But realistically, if we loan Mesut Ozil out, which I can't see any reason why we would loan a player out on his last year of his contract, it would make 0 sense. You might as well keep him if you're going to do that. For me, you're looking to pay probably maybe 150 of his 300 grand wages, if not a bit more. So for me, if you're going to loan him out, you might as well sell him. So it would make no sense loaning him out on his last year. So I'd keep him. I actually would keep him.
Good. Nick, thoughts?
Yeah, well, if we did loan him out and pay his wages, we are basically letting him go, but giving him a golden handshake, aren't we? So I don't know what's up. Well, I do know what's up with Mesut. Obviously, Arsene left, so he had enough at Arsenal. He got blamed for everything that went wrong at Germany because he was apparently Turkish. But for the 9 out of 10 years when he won German Footballer of the Year, scored set all those goals up, played really well. Everything was fantastic, and you could just see it when he came back from that after Germany. His heart's just not in it. He just doesn't care. He's thought, I'm not going to win anything else at Arsenal. I'm not playing for Germany anymore. No one else really want me. I'm 30 years old, 31. Screw it, just take all the money.
Does he sing to himself, nobody loves me, everybody hates me.
I mean, you could just see that some players, like I say, man management and that, some players need an arm around the shoulder, told they're lovely, go tickle their bum, whatever you have to do to make them happy that want to play. Some players, when you shout and swear at them and call them useless, they go even more into their shell and play useless. But I don't know if Arteta, has learned that much, I mean, under Guardiola, it doesn't really matter because all the clubs he's been at, he could just get rid of anyone, bar Messi, maybe a few others that were pretty much undroppable. I mean, even dropped Aguero when he first got to Man City. He didn't really care because where else are they going to go? But with Messi, he just, unless they can fire him up and he wants to play, he might as well go. They might as well just pay all of his wages and say, see you later, mate, because if he's not going to do anything on the pitch at all, he's just wasting the space in the squad.
Julian Salmon has it here in Steve's immortal words. Almunia Morris dancing outside the box. Oh dear. Cheers, Julian. Right, this next question, I've gone and got the answers for you. This is from Jimmy H29 in the chat box. I know it's an early question, we're now a late question, But with such poor goal difference, do you blame that more on the defence or more on the attacking team? Now, gentlemen, some stats for you here. This season, we have scored 43 goals in 31 games, which is an average about 1.4 goals per game. So 1.4 times 7 is going to be another 10 goals for the rest of the season, roughly, playing some decent teams who might be less. So we're going to end up the season with about low 50s in the number of goals scored. And the last time we scored high end 40s, low 50s was 94-95 with 52 goals, 95-96 with 49 goals. Last season, 73, then 74, then 77. And so the goals conceded, which is what he said the other part of his question, we've let in 41, which again is 1.5 a game. So we're probably going to let in maybe 50 goals, same as we did last season, 51, 51, 44, 36. So from that, Karl, what would you say the problem is?
The midfield, the defence doesn't have any protection, because you think to yourself, if they cut out the midfield, look how many times teams break on us. Teams are so quick to break on us and get to our defence so quickly. And our midfield offers no protection. So if the midfield are just defense are constantly getting battered like one of John's girls on a Friday night, like what else can you do? You just got to give in, haven't you? Like, and let me make this clear: our defense is shit. I'll make this clear: our centre backs, every single combination of centre backs combined, are shit. All of them, every single one of them, and you don't know, is it? So you think of this. They've had Emery, who was coaching them, no good. You got Arteta, who are coaching them, no good. You had last season, you had Emery, again, no good. Freddie Ljungberg, a little bit of coaching, where he didn't really carry coaches, did he? Because all the coaching staff left with Emery, no good. When Wenger was there, again, no good. The personnel of Arsenal is just not good. I don't know if we have. So you had Arsenal's defensive coaching staff, couldn't coach defending. You had Emery's defensive coaching staff, can't coach defending. You've got Arteta's coaching staff, which you got to give him a little bit of time. He's not been there for very long. Our defense is not improving. So at some point, is it personnel? Is it coaching? Personnel is definitely an issue. 100% personnel is not good, but at the same time, coaching needs to improve, because on the midfield, we have to have a midfield who offers the defense protection. If you do not offer the defense any protection, then there's nothing we can do.
A little bit of breaking news here. We do trust our friends in the chat box. Avon has put, someone who's stuff I trust, says, Justin, Mkhitaryan joins Roma on a free transfer. Mina Raiola, the player's agent, managed to reach an agreement with Arsenal to terminate his contract a year early, and he's a year in advance. Yeah, Nick, what do you think of that?
Turned down like 12 or 15 million for him in January.
Yeah.
It might have been euros, but well, that's a strange thing to completely terminate a player that, I mean, they actually want him, and no one wants Ozil, but they actually want him. So
all the news things from a couple of hours ago are saying that they've extended his loan till next season. So it looks like they were talking about a loan for next season, and if Avon is right, they've probably gone, oh, fuck it, just keep him.
Well, that's the same thing. Like I said, if his contract is up next year and we're going to loan him for his last year, then that's basically letting him go. So
you got to ask a question: what has Arsenal must have gained something from this? If we just cancelled his contract, we must have, I don't know, got something from it. If we just cancelled his contract for no reason and allowed him to leave for free and not got anything for him, then that is absolutely shocking.
If we're not paying his 200 grand a week wages.
Yeah, but we could have sold him this season. Even if we sold him for absolute pittance, we could have sold him. So something that's dodgy. Like, if you think to yourself, that is really, really dodgy. We've let a player cancel the contract for free, got nothing for him. Yes, we're going to save on his wages. However, to get nothing for him, we could have said, fuck you, Raiola. We're going to sell him to whoever, even if we got 2 or 3 or 5 million for him. But to get nothing for him, that doesn't sit well with me at all. Not at all.
Avon says he's on 220 grand a week. Someone else has said here, Julian has put, must be honest, think his name is Karl on your show, talked a lot of sense and pulled no punches, totally agree with him. I don't usually have people's names turned on because I think you know us all. But as you can see there, one is Karl, one is Nick. So I shall leave that on for the rest of the show. Yeah, cheers for saying that, Julian. Karl is, they're all brilliant talkers, which is why I shut up. Avon says... not laughing at this. It's second highest paid player at the club, and Loki bungs all around.
Probably.
Oh, that's excellent. Right, we've oh, we go. Julian Salmon said earlier in the chat, if Brighton go down, how about a cheeky bid for Lewis Dunk, who Josh really knows his stuff and says that would be an ideal signing. Cahill was laughed about when mentioned on here, but he would have been a better signing than Luiz. That's true. Yeah, boy, you're not, says, question, could we actually sell our midfielders? Who to sell to buy? So I don't think we can sell anybody. One last question from last week. I still got some from last week as well. Last one, which I like, from Jimmy R. We end this on a bit of a high. What talent services, in brackets, easy Tiger, can ABW members offer the community in an attempt to raise funds for next year's transfer window? So does anything immediately come to mind, Karl, that isn't involving John and prostitution?
We could have Chris do a sponsored shirtless run.
Gosh, that is a lot. That would get us millions. We could have some of that.
Definitely. We could have Jason be have anger management classes with Jason, because that's the calming influence that Jason is. We could have Mr. Five could give you financial advice.
He's on the run from Interpol at the moment, so that's not really good, is it?
No. So yeah, Ellis can perform emergency operations free of, just in the community. Give him a knife and some vodka, then he could cut off people's legs and limbs. He tried to do Nick in hospital, but he couldn't quite get there.
No, he got his wife to do me instead.
Oh, well.
Please no sound grab that, for fuck's sake.
I didn't mean it like that.
Any ideas, Nick, of what people can do to raise money?
I don't know. I'll have a whip round on Twitch. I think I've been going for about 14, 15 months. I never made a penny, so...
How about, Danny, you do what Captain Tom did. He just wheeled around in your garden for 24 hours.
I ain't doing anything for charity. Fuck them. Those fuckers won't give me a chair for 15 grand. They can go fuck themselves.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I want a 4x4 chair. If any charities out there want to give me one, 15 grand. I mean, it's only costs 12, but, I've got expenses. Those cream cakes don't sell.
Well, you want to put spinners on it or something? Hydraulics?
They cost 15 grand for a decent outside 4-wheel drive chair, and I live in the bloody village where it's a nightmare. I'm lucky. Gav could do sponsored rage. We fired Gav. He'll never be seen here again. He rang me up the next day and we chatted for an hour. And he said, "That's twice you fucking sacked me now." I said, "Well, you shouldn't be a tit then, should you?" He won't listen to this. He doesn't fucking care. We're still mates, but no. Right, so there was Fife's forum. We've only got 2 answers for this, so I'm going to maybe knock this on the head, because not only does Fife not turn up for any of the shows, people don't turn up for his answers. What one thing about the Arsenal gives you hope that it might be all okay in the end? Hello to Jason Isaacs, if you're listening, and Tinkety Tonk and all that. Our very own Josh said, "I think the latest set of contract renewals look to be smart investments, something I hope to see continue in the summer transfer window." Thanks for answering that, Josh. Very kind of you. Stefan, our mate, says, It is the youth system for me. We have some great kids coming through. I would not say it is an Arsenal thing. There are good English kids coming through everywhere due to the changes the FA made a few years back. I'm not going to ask you to because you spent the last 2 hours talking. Quick prediction for the Norwich game. I'm going 5-0. I nearly said Jack Wilshere hat-trick. No, Eddie Nketiah hat-trick. Karl?
I'm going 3-0 Aubameyang 2.
Oh, Nick, will you be there?
Yeah, I'll try if you want. And then I'll do I'm supposed to be on the radio show tomorrow, so I'll have to do that from inside the prison because...
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll try and get in. I could get in if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say 4-1 to us.
Oh, predictions for the people at home and on their tractors, quite relevant because it's almost the tractor derby. And right, the next thing we got to do is upcoming shows. Tomorrow it's Norwich, which is going to be Nick and I don't know who else. Nick,
Josh.
Oh, think of that. Are you both wearing yellow shirts? Is Gloria Honeyford? That's not the one, is it? Who is she? The woman.
Gloria Honeyford.
Yeah.
Delia Smith.
Delia Smith, that's it. I knew it was someone again with a D. She might. I don't know.
Lesbian Avenue. Come on.
Yeah, Lesbian Avenue. Lovely, lovely place. What Sunday versus Wolves. Again, I've got no idea who's on that. It says close the show, but that's not quite right. We've got gentleman's nod. So one from the podcast goes to Theo Foley, who was at Arsenal from 1986 when George Graham took over until 1991 when he left to become the manager of Northampton. I think it might have been 93 years old or 83 years old. Passed away this week. Very sad. That's another chapter of Arsenal history from me, which were the glory years, the years where I really first started getting into supporting Arsenal from the mid 80s onwards. And I remember that whole era like it was yesterday, and I can't remember anything that's gone on at the moment recently. So yeah, that's our thoughts go out to Theo and his family. Karl, is anybody you'd like to say hello to or give him a little wave?
Scrolling through my phone quickly, and the first person that come up to is Dom Lloyd, Gunner _Tom. Dom, Gunner _Dom.
I thought you were going to say phone. I'm saying that Dominoes.
No, we've been talking lately. So yeah, Gunner _Dom, give him a follow. Good Arsenal person.
Lovely, Nick. Anyone you want to give a high five or high four, high six to? Because you're Norwich, you've got 6 fingers.
I haven't got 6 fingers. I've got web toes.
Ah.
Well, obviously Ellis and Mrs. Ellis for looking after me the last week, and all the other people in there that had to put up with me. But I think Alice pulled some strings and got me a single room to myself, which was either as a favour to me or a favour to everyone else. So I couldn't talk to everyone else. I'm not sure. It's one or the other.
Oh, excellent. And yeah, I don't think there's much else we've got to mention. Thank you very much who joined us tonight. There's been between 50 and 60 of you all the way through the show. There's some really good stuff on Arsenal YouTube at the moment. Tom did a great show with Drew and Mike from the Gooners podcast and John from the Miami Gooners podcast. And they had another guest on there whose name might have been from the FOP podcast or the POF. There were some letters. That's where he was from. That was a good show. And the Hybrid Squad had a really good one with the bloke who wrote the Arsene Wenger book with him, I think. Shows how much notice I take. And Chris was on there and Sophie was on there. And what other decent ones have I seen lately? Oh, Harry Seamu's ones, Chronicles of a Gooner. That's a really good one. Same Old Arsenal. They did a really good show the other day. There was 5 of them. It had Freddie Flintoff and Adrian Durham. They had one person played both those characters. They was on there, and it's good. Craig's back doing podcast now, which is nice. And Dan and the Judge, and I think Harry was on that as well. So you lot are bloody spoilt rotten. There's so much quality Arsenal content out there, and that doesn't even cover some of the other ones like Bearded Gooner and Ryan's podcast. And there's so many out there. I think there's 150,000 that's official. So nearly done 2 hours. I wish I'd shut up and get on with it. So thank you very much to everybody in the chat box for joining us. Oh, was it Drew? May well have been Drew. No, it wasn't Drew. Drew was on with Tom. Yes, I don't know who the other bloke was. Thank everybody in the chat box for joining us and putting up with us warbling on about nonsense. Thank you very much. Karl, you've been wonderful.
No worries. Can everyone please like, please like. I don't want to go all Jason on everyone, but yes, please press that thumbs up button. And Danny, always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And it's rarely a joy for you, but you still keep coming back. Nick, it's been wonderful to have you. If people want to find you on the Twitches, whereabouts on the Twitches are you?
I'm on the Twitches at Nick Fights. You might have to say that again because my accent is so fantastic that people struggle to understand it. But yeah, I'm on there. If you want to come and watch, I don't play football. I play normal games though.
Rubbish games.
Yeah.
He hasn't played My Life in Porsche yet or Theme Hospital. So it's oh, hello again, Dora. Yes, so that was the show. Karl, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the Twitters?
On the Twitters, I am at _London_guy because I am from London and I'm a guy.
And you're all that.
I mean, there you go, Danny. There you go.
And Nick, you're at Nick Fights on Jolly.
Yeah, but changed everything to the same to make it easier for me to remember my password.
And this week I deleted 99,500 tweets. I deleted every tweet I've done since 2009 because I tweet some right old shit, and everyone will confirm that. A lot of it's tongue-in-cheek. But no, I can say tongue-in-cheek from my prison cell as they're throwing rotten food at me. So, yeah, thank you very much, everybody. This has been a Bergkamp Wonderland. We will see you tomorrow night right after the Norwich game. Thank you very much. Good night, and up your bum.